Salve, meus grandes amigos do Baixo! Hoje tenho Baixo do Brasil. Whoa, what is going on? Man, I swear this thing must be rubbing off on me. All right, today we're looking at a D-Mark Guitars bass made in Brazil. I'm Sean Fairchild for Bass Gear Magazine. Let's go! Thank you guys for joining me to learn a little bit more about this D-Mark Guitars Alpha 5 bass from Brazil. Now, Brazil may not be the first place you think of when you think about boutique, hand-carved, exotic instruments. However, D-Mark and a few other brands are kind of challenging that perception lately. So let's take a closer look. I think it's fair to say the first thing you are likely to notice about this bass is the striking turquoise blue top, which are stained pieces of a wood called piopo, which seems to be related to what we typically call poplar in English, although there are many subspecies of poplar and evidently piopo too from the research I've done. These are just thin veneers on top of the body wings, which are majority mahogany. Brazilian mahogany was chosen for those wings. And if you notice here, there's something very interesting. This center block is not mahogany, it's cedar. It's Brazilian cedar, but only in the rear, because as I flip this back around, you can see that center block is maple. So we have a maple fretboard attached to a maple neck, which has a nice thick piece of purple heart running through the center of it. We've also got abalone fret markers adorning the 2-octave 34-inch scale neck. So pretty cool construction here, made of some woods that you may not be used to seeing. Now my take on this bass is essentially that it is a very modern looking, very killer jazz bass sounding bass. That's really what this bass does and does well. So these pickups, due to their soap bar shape, may appear to be multi-coil pickups, perhaps side-by-side humbuckers, but they are split inline humbucking pickups that sound very, very jazz bassish, as you are about to hear. Marcos from D-Mark actually winds these pickups in-house himself and then adjusts each pull piece for even output across all the strings. They're mated to a proprietary 3-band preamp, which is made in Brazil for D-Mark, and it features bass, mid, and treble, which are actually right here. So bass, mid, treble. We have an active-passive switch right here. This is the mid-frequency switch, which selects between either 540 Hertz in the up towards you position or 930 Hertz in the down position. And we have a 2-volume setup versus a master volume and blend sort of scenario. Now, as you'll notice, there is a gloss finish all over the instrument. So the gloss finish is on the back of the neck, the headstock, back of headstock, everywhere on the instrument. Typically, I don't really enjoy a gloss finish neck. However, this neck is faster than I expected it to be, perhaps due in part to its very comfortable profile. So it has a relatively modern, but also kind of familiar type of profile. It's neither here nor there to me. It's not extraordinarily thin, it's not baseball bat thick, and it has a very pleasant, soft C kind of profile to it. listening to some of these playing examples, you might arrive at the same conclusion that I have, which is that this bass is very jazz bass-like. In fact, I would go so far as to say that if I had my eyes closed and somebody else was playing this bass and we weren't A-Bing it against some other kind of instrument, I might assume that I was hearing either a Fender jazz bass or some other kind of jazz bass. That's not at all a bad thing, because this D-Mark Alpha actually offers a lot of benefits that the traditional jazz bass design doesn't allow for. For one, we have a nice extended cutaway. We've got a lot more exotic lumbers. We've got neck-through construction. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. But a big thing for me is that instead, in place of single coils, we have pickups that sound like single coils, but offer closed shell soap bar style pickups. So I'm able to use these as a platform. I'm able to use these as a ramp for doing it sort of advanced plucking stuff that I often get caught up on when I have exposed pole pieces, especially when those pole pieces raise above the pickup shell. So for me, this is a much better design. It's much more, it facilitates my playing a whole lot more, which I think is pretty much the best thing that a design can do for a specific player. Aside from that, we also have a 22-inch radius on the fretboard, which is neither super curved nor super flat. It's definitely more radius than some of the other basses that I play, but not incredibly curved either. So it's a nice middle-of-the-road, very comfortable radius to play. It allows for chording to be a little bit easier and just makes for a lot of comfort in the left hand. There is a little bit of fret sprout evident, especially on the treble side as we move up to the join with the body. It's relatively minimal, and I think it's fair to say that oftentimes when an instrument is made in a tropical climate, in a much more humid climate, and then shipped to some place like Seattle, Washington, where I am now, there's going to be a lot of changes that occur in the neck. It's really hard for somebody to foresee what's going to happen, and that may not have been evident upon completion. There are also some very minor inconsistencies in the blending of one timber into another. In a couple of the places where one type of wood meets another type of wood, the blending is maybe less than perfect, but of course, perfection is in the eye of the beholder. All of this is completely superficial, and the selling price of this in the US at just under $3,000 makes it an exceptional bargain, no matter what your criteria. Thank you guys so much for joining me on another one of these fun little bass adventures where we get to check out new stuff that you may not get to see very often. Make sure to read the full written review. There's a lot more information, photos, specs, all that stuff. So head to bassgearmagazine.com or bassgearmag.com. The URL should hopefully be right down there. Guys, if you like this video, please like it, comment. That helps us out tremendously. You wouldn't even know. And when you like the video, make sure to also subscribe so that you are the first to be notified from all of your bass colleagues and friends about the next cool new piece of gear that we can talk about together. I cherish this time together. You know, I've told you that. I really value this. All right, you guys. Once again, for Bass Gear Magazine, I'm Sean Fairchild. Ciao.